So we're going to change gears here and hear from Jeff Baxter, who is Chief Technical Evangelist for NetApp's ONTAP group. He's going to be speaking about creating the fabric of a new generation of enterprise applications. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Jeff. Jeff joined NetApp 9 years ago. He's had both technical and strategy roles in NetApp's field organization. Those years of work culminated in his role as Chief Technology Officer for the Americas. But his work in the field overall deepened his knowledge of the customer and the technical and business issues that they face. 1 year ago, he took on a new role of Chief Technology Evangelist. And then let's talk a little bit about what he did before. Before joining NetApp, Jeff worked at Booz Allen Hamilton as a storage consultant. Before that, he was manager of systems engineering at George Washington University in Washington, D.C. area. He has an MBA and BA degrees from George Washington University. And on a personal level, Jeff enjoys spending time with his young children, ages 4 and 6, especially taking them to Disney World in Florida. And he also reports he is very good at playing poker, which helped him out when he attended trade shows in Vegas. But as we know, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Thanks very much, and help me welcome Jeff, please. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Well, thank you, Gene, and thank you everyone here at the Flash Memory Summit, and good morning. As Gene mentioned, my name is Jeff Baxter. I'm with NetApp as a Chief Evangelist for our ONTAP group. And today I'll be covering our vision, really, for creating the fabric of a new generation of enterprise applications. So let me actually cheat a little here and give you a bit of a sneak preview of what I'll be talking about. So we're actually going to do something a little bit different than what NetApp would traditionally do, and we're actually going to do 3 demonstrations later on in this talk and show you, for the first time ever, proof of concept for 3 technologies running on NetApp systems that I think many of you will be interested in, including Fibre Channel NVMe, using storage class memory as a cache directly within storage controllers, and extending enterprise data management directly out to the host with persistent memory. Now, I am absolutely required to draw your attention to the disclaimer at the bottom of the screen that was kindly provided to me by our fabulous legal department. And note that all of these are proof of concept. They're technologies that are actually working in our lab, and we're going to share them for the first time here today with you. But we're not yet making a commitment on actually shipping those or a date on when they'll be shipping, but please stay tuned for more there. So if anything, what we've learned at the conference this week, and what all of us in this audience I think know, is that the world is changing. It's changing fundamentally. It's changing quickly. We're in the midst of a digital transformation, the likes of which the world has never seen. It's a fundamental transition where really power and influence and the new currency is all around data rather than land or traditional currency, gold, money, what have you, where the currency that matters is really data and the ability to utilize it effectively for your business and in your personal life. And we see that digital transformation has real impact. This is not a hypothetical digital transformation that NetApp and others are working on with customers. IDC tells us that by 2020, 50% of the 2,000 largest companies in the world will see the majority of their business depend on the ability to create these digitally enhanced products. Again, this is not theoretical, this is not notional, this is billions and billions of dollars of titans of industry hinging upon digital transformation and the ability to drive value from data. IDC tells us that by the end of 2017, revenue growth from information-based products for a third of those G2000 companies will actually double the rest of their combined product and service portfolio. So this is, again, not trivial. This is not some niche market or just early emerging. This calendar year, huge numbers of titans of industry, huge amounts of that revenue, the majority of their revenue, will come from these digitally transformed products. And there will be winners and losers in this market. Let's not pretend. Companies that accomplish this transformation, that move to data-driven environments, will have up to a 50% higher market value than their competitors or brethren that do not. Again, the stakes are incredibly high. What we talk about at this conference, what we work on together in terms of driving digital transformation out to our customers, will determine the next decade and perhaps even the next century of enterprises and how they succeed in driving value. So why am I talking about this at Flash Memory Summit? It's because Flash has been absolutely essential for the digital transformation that has already been achieved, and Flash is absolutely essential for the digital transformation that is to come. But even beyond Flash, emerging applications demand more. Flash, as we, I think, all know in this audience, has become the new normal. It has become the new baseline. There's still room to go. There's still massive growth in the Flash market and in the all-flash array market. But we know that it is the new normal. People are deploying their critical applications. People are hinging their digital transformation on top of Flash. But a new generation of applications is emerging that is hungry for even more. These are emerging applications like artificial intelligence, machine learning, real-time analytics, already achieving today things that might have been science fiction just 5 years ago. And these applications, by the very nature of being real-time, by the very nature of being hungry for instantaneous response, are demanding faster fabrics and faster media. And again, this isn't a notional sort of niche application, a niche market. It may seem today like everyone's just touching the surface, right, of these technologies. But if you talk to Gartner, if you talk to other analysts, Gartner estimates that this is a $13 billion market in just the next few years by 2020. Again, the digital transformation in these emerging applications will fundamentally reshape the nature of the enterprise data center, the nature of enterprise applications and the largest companies on the planet as they go through their digital transformation. Now, what we're seeing at NetApp as we talk to customers, some of the largest customers on the planet, is that we're creating new customer IT imperatives. Customers come to us every day and they're telling us really what we put into 3 different categories of 3 new IT imperatives. One, they're asking for help harnessing the power of the hybrid cloud. At NetApp, we don't believe that the cloud will run everything. We also don't believe the cloud is something to run away from. We believe that every customer will embrace the cloud and will embrace the cloud in hybrid ways, placing workloads there where it makes sense, placing workloads on-prem, and placing workloads near the cloud. And our goal is to help them harness the power of that hybrid cloud. We also see customers that are building out entirely new next-generation data centers, things built upon new concepts that have just been introduced in the last 3 or 4 years of enterprise storage, shared nothing architectures, building out entire RESTful API orchestrated data centers. And then there's certainly a rush to modernize data centers, to take advantage of new technologies, such as all-flash, and such as some of the other technologies that we've been talking about all week here at the Flash Memory Summit. So regardless of any of those imperatives, we know that there's 2 primary sort of categories of disruptive trends that are converging in this industry at much the same time. And I use the word disruptive in the traditional IT sense, right? These are transitions that are so vital, so impactful that they can disrupt the normal order of things, that they can make things happen that could not be achieved before. Now, I'll tell you quite honestly, how many of you have been in a conversation with a CIO or CEO where you walk in and say you want to disrupt their business, right? I think most CEOs enjoy disruption almost as much as they enjoy 2 a.m. phone calls, right? But we all know that when something brings order of magnitude or multi-order of magnitude improvements, that is a disruptive trend that cannot be ignored. And so we look at trends like faster fabrics, right? NVMe over fabric as a new way of addressing this faster bandwidth. 32 gig fiber channel now taking over the market. Ethernet moving into 25, 50 gig, 40 gig, and 100 gig Ethernet varieties and starting to achieve mainstream adoption. At the same time, we look at faster media. Obviously, NVMe attached SSDs are a wave of the future. And there's a new generation of media that many of us have seen here today that we've talked about today of storage class memory, also referred to as persistent memory throughout this discussion. So, as a major enterprise storage company, this has been a tremendously interesting and fun shift for us. I joke, I started NetApp 9 years ago, and I actually started on the field organization. I started as a systems engineer working with some of our largest customers. And the joke was, we could sell you any type of storage you want as long as it was a hard drive. And I don't know how many nights I spent up saying, should it be a 5,400 RPM hard drive, or should it be a 7,200 RPM hard drive, or maybe even a 15K hard drive? When in reality, we all know that the difference between them, while important, was nowhere near the order of magnitude difference that we have today, right? And then, of course, the emergence of solid-state drives. And perhaps even more importantly, at the beginning of that emergence, the emergence of hybrid flash systems that sort of paved the way. And now we very much see the next generation of this happening with the introduction of storage class memory. And again, we believe that the way that road may indeed be paved with hybrid architectures, where storage class memory will have a place on its own, but storage class memory deployed in a hybrid architecture will most likely carry the day over the course of the next several years. So at NetApp, we don't build a lot of these things, we make them better. And in fact, we do that by partnering, joint innovation with leading partners. It's our vision, it's our goal to build the best enterprise software to take advantage of this media. And we quite frankly believe it would be foolhardy for us to go out and say, let's create our own storage class memory, or let's create our own SSDs, let's do any of this, when we have partners, many of whom you've heard from, all of whom are at the show, that have done such tremendous work and that we have such tremendous joint partnerships with. So we really see every time there's this new technology disruption as the start of a new cycle, where we work with industry-leading partners. And this expensive and unproven new storage media really emerges, right? It comes out of the gate. And it may or may not work flawlessly. It may or may not have all the enterprise features or resiliency. There's obviously still tuning to be made. And our approach then is always to be able to use that new media selectively. Where can we insert it in a place in the path where it can grow, where it can deliver immediate value, but typically given that it's very expensive out of the gate on just pure dollar per gig metrics, where can we most selectively apply it at the point of the spear to drive enterprise value? And in doing so, that lets us scale adoption. It lets us get it out into the market. It lets feedback get back into the partners that we work with and see how we can improve that media, and in doing so, move forward to broad adoption and optimization of that media. And so this is a trend that's happened time and time again. It happened with solid state when we released, I think it was about 8 years ago, using solid state first as flash cache, as using it flash inside our storage controllers before moving to successful implementation of an all-flash array. And we're doing it again with NVMe. A lot of people don't realize this about NetApp. A lot of people think, I get the question, when is NetApp going to start shipping NVMe? We've already shipped 6 petabytes of NVMe. And actually, that's through the end of our last fiscal year. I can't tell you about the last quarter yet, for some obvious reasons. But we are committed to, and we've shipped a ridiculous, significant amount of NVMe out into our enterprise customers, and expect to continue that trend to grow. So we're already starting to see that cycle where we're using that NVMe technology, we're using NVMe SSDs and NVMe solid state to accelerate customers' existing enterprise storage arrays. And so we have a vision. Our vision is that any one of these technologies, as a singular point, has value, right? They're all certainly awesome innovations. But on their own, they don't create nearly the impact than when they're put together into a comprehensive enterprise architecture that deploys these new solid-state technologies at every point in the infrastructure for maximum impact. And if I had an agenda slide for the demos I'm about to show you, this would be it. We're going to go ahead and walk through early proof of concept of what we're going to be doing at each point of the spear. So for the first demo, let's go ahead and start with an ultra-fast network connection. We've had a tremendous partnership with Brocade, a tremendous partnership working on the Gen 6 fiber channel, enterprise customers that we work with day in and day out who are just astonished at the gains that they see in their data center by deploying this new Gen 6 fiber channel. 32 gig fiber channel, very active adoption. We were actually the first enterprise storage array to ship 32 gig fiber channel directly within the array on board. For bonus points, we also did it at the same time as 40 gig Ethernet in the same unified appliance. And customers are seeing results such as the ones you see up on screen, so 70% lower DSS queries when they're using this new enhanced fiber channel. So now the question is, how can we make it even better? Well, what if, as a vision, we could take that existing fiber channel network over that existing SAN and through software upgrade it so that you're, instead of using the fiber channel protocol over fiber channel, using NVMe over fiber channel. What might that look like? Let's take a look. So on the top in this video, we're showing a standard SUSE Linux box. And on the bottom, we're logged into a NetApp controller. And yes, I'm doing a demo with a CLI. And we're going to go ahead and list the initiators up on the top. Go ahead and list them on the bottom. Show they're connected. So we've established a common host connection there between the NetApp controller and this Linux box. So I'm going to start sysdata on the bottom. And I'll talk about this a little bit later on, but the key thing you should be noting in the column there is there's a brand new column that you will not see on a NetApp box today called NVMF, sitting side by side with the NFS and Fibre Channel column. So we don't have any NVMe namespaces created on the box, so let's go ahead and create them. We're running a discovering connections script, discovering the namespace. You can start to see NVMe fabric traffic just starting just from that sort of establishment of the connection. There's the namespace. We've mounted it on the system. And we'll go ahead and just put some load on it. This is not a performance proof of concept, right? Those will come over time. This is an initial proof of concept showing driving NVMe traffic over Fibre Channel directly into ONTAP. Just to drive that home, ONTAP is the #1 most deployed storage operating system in the world, and it has been for many years. And for the first time in a decade, we are adding a new primary data access protocol in this proof of concept into ONTAP. It's not a new array. It's not a whole new operating system. Side by side with industry-leading NAS, industry-leading SAN, now NVMe over Fabric, in the world's #1 storage operating system. So again, proof of concept, not a firm commitment yet to deliver a date on it, but please stay tuned, and you'll see more and more of these demos out there as we go forward. So let's talk about the second piece. I mentioned each of these on its own is impressive, but put together into an overall architecture is where we think the maximum value adds. So let's talk about adding storage class memory. Now, certainly, eventually, we'll see storage class memory used for primary data storage, right, for the ultra-low latency there. But just as solid state first really took off, first gained like that broad mainstream adoption in hybrid flash systems, we think storage class memory will first take out this broad enterprise adoption by being used as cache on top of all flash systems. So in this demonstration on your left, we're showing just basically running, and again, this isn't a huge performance demonstration, but running performance against a typical sort of MLC NAND SSD. And on the right, we've used ZSSD as a cache, again within a storage controller running ONTAP. If you check out the Fibre Channel operations between the two, what you'll see is about 3 times the IOPS by using just a small amount of storage class memory as cache within the controller. Again, this isn't moving your data onto storage class memory. This is using it as a cache. Same controller model, same version of ONTAP, same queue depth, same workload, 3 times the IOPS without any change to the architecture, without any change or bringing a new array, putting storage class memory directly within the system. Again, we think this is going to dramatically ramp the adoption of storage class memory, and this proof of concept is a start in that direction. The third and final demonstration is really around the idea of, people ask us, do you think storage class memory will end up in the controller? Do you think it'll end up in the host? The answer, of course, is yes. It's not an or question, right? As with any disruptive and transformational technology, it will find its way wherever it delivers value. So you may have seen, some of you may have seen who follow the industry, we announced the acquisition of a company called PlexiStore a quarter or so ago. And the technology that we're working with them is about creating this ultra-low latency file system that can operate on the host, but deal with enterprise data management. So be able, theoretically, to work with ONTAP and to work with our other operating systems to provide enterprise data management, backup, resiliency, tiering, while still taking advantage of persistent memory directly on the server. So in a really simple test of this technology, we're running a random 4K write multi-threaded FIO benchmark. And on the left, just basic SSD. And again, not a huge performance thing here, 50,000, 70,000 IOPS, getting about 0.17, about 172 microseconds. And on the right, the PlexiStore software running on top of persistent memory in a server, slight improvement. So over 3.4 million IOPS at 3 or 4 microseconds of latency. And again, this is software that we expect to be able to push out to the host to deal with those new emerging applications that demand this absolute ultra-low latency, this real-time responsiveness, but do so in a way that doesn't give up enterprise data management, that doesn't require our customers to come up with new ways to secure their data, to back up their data, to replicate their data, to tier their data. In our experience, every time you ask a customer to retrofit their entire environment to change the way they do everything, it dramatically slows down emerging technology. So by bringing this technology to market, we hope that it will create an entirely new way to use persistent memory directly on the host. And the fun part when I talk to customers, quite honestly, is when I talk to them about their NetApp all-flash FAS systems and a cluster of them, potentially 6, 7 million IOPS doing 0.3, 0.4 milliseconds, tens of petabytes of storage, and that will be their slow system. It's a dramatic shift, and if you had told me that 2 or 3 years ago, I would have said I was stupid. I might still say it today. But the point being that this technology is going to dramatically revolutionize how we deal with enterprise applications. So hopefully that was interesting to you as some proof of concept demonstrations of where we think this technology is heading, where we believe that we can help enterprise customers adopt it. And quite frankly, we think that NetApp's innovation is going to help accelerate customer adoption of flash, accelerate customer adoption of NVMe and storage class memory and data management solutions. There's a couple reasons we think this. One, and I mentioned this point before, but I feel very strongly about it. The key to introducing disruptive technologies into enterprise, into getting them adopted more rapidly, is to do it non-disruptively. And we have a heritage of this. We started off with disk-based systems and then hybrid systems. When we added in our all-flash system, it was done so in a way that was non-disruptive to customers' architectures. They could join it into an ONTAP-based architecture, right? They could join it into a cluster. They could non-disruptively move data around. So again, we'll be coming forth with commitments on this potentially in the future. We're not doing commitments today, but the goal and our vision is that non-disruptively you'll be able to add in technologies such as NVMe over Fabrics directly into that architecture. Add in next-generation solid-state technologies into that architecture. Add in storage class memory being used as a cache, again, non-disruptively within that architecture. And add persistent memory directly within a server and connect it into that architecture, again, non-disruptively. If I've said the word non-disruptively too many times, I apologize. I'm a little bit passionate about it. The number one, if number one on the list is not walking into a CIO's office saying, I want to disrupt your operations, number two is saying, I want to bring a forklift in here and replace your whole data center in order to take advantage of it. Being able to adopt these non-disruptively, really our goal is to work with just about everyone in this room, everyone who's developed such amazing technologies, and help drive them to market faster with the NetApp portfolio that includes the world's #1 storage operating system. And that, in a nutshell, will help our customers embrace the technologies with confidence. And I think the final point on why I think and why I'd make the case that NetApp is going to be a major player here in helping customers absorb these technologies is I can sum up in one phrase. That's track record. Sometimes there's a debate about legacy players and new players and everything like that. For me, 25 years is a track record that shows that customers have voted with their dollars year in and year out, and that we've not only absorbed each technology transition that's happened over those 25 years, whether it's new fabrics, new connectivity, new types of media, new protocols. With each of those, we've not only survived the transition, but actually thrived and grown on top of them. From 25 years ago, literally creating the network-attached storage industry as it exists today, to creating the unified storage industry, to moving forward with storage efficiency on primary storage. All of these accomplishments, don't worry, I'm not going to read every bullet point up here. I'll leave it behind for later. There'll be a quiz if anyone wants to memorize. But we believe that, again, our next 25 years is about accelerating through these new disruptive technologies, through storage class memory and through NVMe. And I don't know if any presentation can go without at least one brag slide, so I saved it for the end, and my apologies. But I will say, what makes me proud, what keeps me coming back to NetApp now for the better part of a decade, and hopefully for the next decade to come, is that we are so laser focused on innovation. So we were the first, with partners again, right? We didn't build it, we just helped make it better and get it out to enterprise. We were the first to ship 15 terabyte SSDs. We were the first to develop and ship out multi-stream write. The first with high-speed connectivity, both 32 gig fiber channel and 40 gig E in the same unified storage appliance. And that innovation, I truly believe, is why customers have honored us, have rewarded us with such accomplishments, right? The #1 all-flash NAS array, we were incredibly happy to accept that award from IT Brand Pulse yesterday. Leader in 4 of the Gartner Magic Quadrants. This is one that most people will not actually believe, and I guarantee it's true. We are the #1, yes, that little NAS company, we are the #1 fastest growing SAN company. Of any of the SAN players of scale and size, we're the fastest growing SAN company today. And of the major enterprise flash vendors, we are the fastest growing all-flash vendor, far outpacing the market. So again, I don't think that happens by accident. I don't think that happens just because we're out yelling about how great we are. I think that happens because we're laser-like focused on the innovation and on developing new proof of concepts like we showed today, all with the focus on how we can deliver this value to customers. So I just want to take a moment, thank all of you for your partnership, thank our technology partners who work with us every day. We know the world is changing. We know flash and solid-state media are changing with them. At NetApp, we're extraordinarily passionate about embracing that digital transformation and making it not something to be feared, but something that we can embrace together with our customers to drive value. And hopefully today I've shared with you just a little bit of our technical vision on how we'll embrace these new solid-state technologies and use them to accelerate the digital transformation. Thank you all and have a good rest of your morning.